Welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Anderson with Susan So Creative, where it's only wrong when it doesn't work. Today's topic is how to advance an edge-to-edge quilt.
After laying out my edge-to-edge design, I'm now ready to go ahead and start. What I have done is made sure that I'm stitching beyond the edges of my actual quilt size so that all my edges will be stitched down.
I'm going to do an advance at the end of this row. Now the machine has reached the end of its row and it's ready for me to go ahead and advance it. So I have moved my machine to a bottom point on my design, not on a curve, but an actual point. On my screen, all right, I'm going to go over here. We're going to close out that long pause. We're going to click on drag, which is an icon here on the left ribbon. And I'm going to rotate my quilt itself like so. Okay, let's see how that looks. And I'm going to move my machine, or move my design. You can see it move on the screen. Now I'm going to hit drop and my quilt is ready to proceed quilting again. But before I do that, I'm going to be doing the basting. So I am going to go back over here to ProStitcher. We're going to select baste. I'm going to come back down here because I've dropped my quilt now. And I'm going to come down to the very bottom of my quilt, closest to the front bar. We'll max that out. Here we go. And I'm just going to baste along, make sure this is in the right position, and just baste that right up the side, like so. Then I'll do it to the other side, and it'll continue my stitching right where I left off. So it is now actually stitching the second row of my quilt. Whoops. Might help if I turn off the baste.
Since I've determined that I've got way too much stitching on the right hand side of my quilt, I'm going to delete some of that. And I can do that after I started stitching. So I've gone to my area tab and I've removed the outline for my actual quilt. And I'm going to use a 2-corner. Click one there, drag my machine. I can't drag it all the way to the bottom, but I can drag it as far as I can get it and hit that 2-corner again. Now I can type in the actual height that I've got for my quilt. And okay, I need to go a little bit more. See, it goes down. I need to go a little bit further. So let's go 61 inches instead. And I've selected all of that. Now I can go to modify, select my crop, do my edges, and select outside. Or yeah, inside. There we go. And I've just cut off the rest of that stitching I no longer need. Notice my end stops are still one every row. I've not added a whole bunch of stitching to the edge at all. Okay, now let's get back to sewing.
Now, rather than stitching way off the edge of my batting and my fabric, I've cut it back so it's just stitching off the batting for about 1.5 inches or so. And now it's going to finish my design that way. We'll go to a long pause when it finishes the design, and we'll advance the quilt.
I get asked this question a lot when doing edge-to-edge quilting. Sometimes you have leftover stitching at the very bottom of the quilt that you don't want to sew. How do you get rid of this? First thing you're going to do is baste. You have to baste the bottom edge because the stitching is going to be coming on and off the fabric as you're stitching that last row of the quilt. To do that, I'm going to first go ahead, leave my long pause in place, and I'm going to lock in horizontal channel lock on the far left ribbon. Press the on button on the machine handle. Don't forget to set the baste option. Drag the machine across bottom edge of the quilt as you're stitching. You could also use the move option with this instead. If as you're stitching you have a little too much fullness in your fabric, you can use Downy Wrinkle Release, spray lightly onto your fabric and allow to dry. That will help you ease in some of that fullness. We're simply going to remove the bottom edge of the stitching on the screen. Position the machine so it's about an inch below the quilt top. Select Area tab and to corner. Now I'm going to move my cursor slightly to the right and touch to corner again. I can go back in and type in the overall size of my design area, making sure that I'm going to extend past my stitching, both on the width and the length. Let's just try something here. And I've got more than enough, and that's fine. So we're going to go to Modify. We're going to select Crop. We're going to select Edges and Inside. Then I'm going to go back and make sure I touch baseline. Now reset the machine to start quilting. Move the machine to the first stitch for the last row. Touch ProStitcher tab, New Start New End, touch Auto, under New, touch Quilt, and select Run. Now the machine will finish the last row, and that's how you finish edge-to-edge quilting. Simply remove the quilt from the frame, trim off the extra padding and backing, and apply your binding.
Thank you for joining me today in the Longarm Studio. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is Susan Anderson, Susan So Creative, where it's only wrong when it doesn't work.